Hi guys, hope you all are all well. So we are now moving on to our last booklet of the year, the individual differences area. Okay, thank you for doing lots of work last week. Um, Doing that has meant the lessons when we're back for the next 3 weeks should be able to be quite not repetitive, but you'll know what's going on, so you can get into the flow. Oh, I like doing that. For the last 3 weeks. Okay, so the individual differences area is all about people being different. It's crazy. It's an absolute mental kind of idea here that we are all different. I know. Um, just so you know, so up to slide 7 is the kind of information about the area. Summarize that, keep that separate. So that will kind of go at the front of like a folder for the individual differences, telling you all about it. Okay. So, um, as I said, this area assumes that we are all different. No way. And that these differences are the reason for our differences in behaviour. So what they kind of look at here is your culture, your biology, the way you think are all different, and therefore you behave different. The opposite to this is like the situation influences your behaviour. So kind of like the social area, that's kind of like the opposite. Okay, so it's a bit bigger than like the biological area or anything else we've looked at. Okay, because we it's just known that we are all different, and it's these differences that mean we act differently. Okay, so what I want you to do briefly, and if you've been able to print off the booklet, you'll see the activity. Just list as many things as you can or characteristics that make us different, and then just have a ponder about how those make us different. So, for example, how we process information. Um, Someone bumps into me. Some people might get angry and start punching them. Some people go, "Oh, sorry, 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 sorry." Okay, so there's so much we're different on. So have a think. So we always need to know what the key concepts are. Okay. Um, so there's kind of the two. I think there's like 4 or 5 in the booklet. For me, these are the easiest ones to remember, but your choice. Okay, so individuals differ in their behaviour and personal qualities, so not everyone can be considered the average person. Can you imagine being the average person? Like, what does that look like? That's mental. Do some research to find out what an average person would be. And then the second one is that believes that the area believes that a person's behaviour are unique to them and a combination of their biology and their experiential factors, so things that's happened to them, thoughts, development, that type of thing. So what we're going to be studying, so the two key themes, we've got understanding disorders and measuring differences. So understanding disorders, we need to know what Freud did about a case of little hands, about how a phobia is kind of acquired, and then we're going to look at kind of what makes people or adults with autism different to people without autism. Okay, and then measuring differences, we're going to look at IQ. We've done a little bit of work on that previously, but we're going to look at kind of issues on how we measure IQ. And then we're going to look at the language of psychopaths. We're going to look at the language of convicted murderers in Canada and see if there's a difference between what psychopaths say and what non-psychopaths say. Okay, so some really interesting kind of studies here. So I hope you kind of get on board with it all, and it will just be fantastic to have as many of you as possible in a lesson to kind of do this with you. So you're going to summarise all of that, I think, and then the next stuff is understanding the key theme. So understanding disorders, like this is such a massive area of psychology. The idea is if we can study people with kind of any disorder, we can work out what the cause of it is, and therefore how we can best treat them. And that's kind of the most important angle here. So we've got this, and we've got mental health. We will be doing mental health as soon as we come back in September, if we are back then. And you'll see how this links. So that's kind of rationale for the kind of the order in which we're kind of doing on. Okay, so we're going to we'll just look at different aspects of what make people different. Okay, so we'll look at phobias. causes a little boy to have a phobia? What is a key characteristic of someone with autism? Okay, what the thought process is of psychopaths compared to non-psychopaths when they're describing crimes. Okay, so super interesting stuff if you like that. So the first kind of study is all about Sigmund Freud, the most famous psychologist in the world ever, bar none. Probably the reason that psychology exists, if I'm honest. This guy was so influential. He's basically the first ever person to have a theory of why we behave like we do. He was the first person to like try and treat people psychologically as well through kind of therapy. But his ideas are a little bit out there, so you got to like open your mind, kind of get with it, expand. Okay, there's stacks of stuff here to research if you want to go deeper as well. Okay, super interesting. So again, what I need to do is summarize his theory. You're going to use this theory when we do mental health as well. We'll look at it when we do crime and other component two stuff. So the reason why we've got kind of a lesson on this separately is because it's important kind of going forward. Okay, so delve into this as much as you want. I've said one piece of A4 to summarize it because I think that's all it needs to be summarized, but it doesn't mean you haven't gone into any more depth. So I want you to kind of research these four things. I'm going to do little bits after this to help you, but the idea is that you go for it, okay, and delve into this, because the more you delve into it, the more interesting it gets. So the kind of the idea here is that your behavior is driven from your unconscious mind, not what you're thinking, not memories, just the part of your brain you have no direct awareness of, and that controls all of your behavior. And that comes, if you look at this kind of second one, is he believes that childhood is really key in your development of your personality, and it's how that, so your experience coupled with how your unconscious mind works and your early childhood experiences, how they kind of interact and how you were gratified and how you dealt with your issues as a child. So basically your childhood up to 5 or 6 is the most important part for shaping your behaviour, but it's all unconscious. You have no idea that these, what we call drives, influence you. Okay, and therefore our personality, so how we act, can be traced back to how we dealt with things, and it may be an answer to why we might have some kind of issues as childhood in adulthood, sorry. Okay, so that's kind of what we believe. So the kind of key principles of the kind of the first, so that's the kind of the key idea, your unconscious mind. And according to Freud, your personality is based in your unconscious mind. Okay, and you have 3 parts of your personality. You have an id, ego, and superego. It's linked to being an iceberg because obviously most of an iceberg is underwater. So Freud says most of your behavior is under the water in your unconscious mind. So we need to know what the id, ego, and superego is and how they kind of influence each other and influence how you act. So your id is the devil, the pleasure principle. Give it to me now. I want it. I must have it right now. Okay, Freud links a lot of this to sexual instinct, but we're going to kind of not kind of worry about that element too much. But it's like, this is why babies cry. I'm hungry. I need a new nappy. I want to cuddle. Okay, they cry. It's their ear go. Rah, I want this. Okay, who here? If you think back to the marshmallow study, okay, who can't resist temptation? That is your id. I want it now. I need another one. I can't be bothered to do my work. I shouldn't listen to Kevin. I'll do my own thing. So it's your id. I want it. I want it. I want it. You're born with it. At 2ish, your kind of rational mind develops. So this is kind of the part that kind of starts listening. You can start thinking. It's like you can kind of make unconscious decisions. Okay, and obviously at this age, it's only got the id to listen to. So this is why pretty much kids do whatever they want, really, because they're still kind of trying to work out what is good and right. But then around 5, your angel, you shouldn't eat more chocolate, Kevin, or you should do your work, students, on time for Kevin. Okay, this is kind of like your moral component of your behaviour. And as you can imagine, you got the id, you got the super ego. Meh, meh, they want different things. So it's all about how your ego kind of weighs up and who it listens to. And as you can imagine, unconsciously, this can cause strife. Okay, and it's this conflict, okay, that can influence your behavior. So it can cause mental health issues like anxiety, OCD, but kind of in everyday behavior, a way to kind of get rid of this angst. You know, like sometimes you just and you don't know where you're. It's probably because your id and superego are just arguing, and your unconscious can't process it. So you go to the gym, you'll shout at someone. Okay, and these are called defense mechanisms. Google them, research some. You'll love projection and sublimation. They're really interesting. Okay, um, you'll see how your behavior may be unconsciously directed because of the unconscious anxiety, the conflict that it's caused. Okay, so that's kind of a massive part to kind of understand how it can affect your behavior of the whole theory. The third bit is to look at the stages. Freud says we develop through stages: oral, anal, phallic, latency, and genital. We don't care about latency and genital. Freud didn't really, if we're honest. He kind of says everything is done and dusted by 5, 6. But you need a bit of an understanding of these 3 stages. Okay, so I'm not saying copy this out, but research what they are. Do a little bit on them. One, but from born to being 18 months, it's all about being fed. So you get all you want: food, give me food, I want milk. Okay, so this could explain if you kind of just wanted it too much. You could be sarcastic, you could smoke, okay, you could bite your nails, you might like chewing gum. If that's the case, you got fixated in the oral stage as a kid. The next stage, the anal stage, 18 months to 3. This is all about potty training. If you were potty trained really strictly and regimentally, you're probably very neat and tidy. So those of you who like a folder, has to be in order, has to have the right headings, you may have been potty trained strictly and love holding your bowel movements. Those of you who are messy, late, untidy, you just did it whenever you wanted to. You're a mess. You would have been a nightmare. Okay, you can kind of see which one I would be. And then really importantly for this particular study is between 3 and 5, 6-ish, you start becoming aware of your genitals according to Freud, and you learn your gender identity through your experiences with your mother and your father. Okay, and that's what you're going to delve into now about the Oedipus complex, all about how boys identify with their fathers. Okay, you can see what it says here. So a subconscious sexual desire in the boy where he desires his mother and wants to possess her, have sex with her, and leads the boy to compete with her father in a hostile way. Okay, so you start going, dad, you got mum, I don't want you to, I want her. Then you realise your dad is bigger than you, and you're worried he might castrate you. So you start copying him, and you go, well, if I'm like him, mum will like me eventually. Okay, it's all about around the Greek myth Oedipus, how it got its name. Super interesting. Females, you have the same. It's called the Electra complex, and you have something called penis envy. Google it, research it. Brilliant. Okay, so delve into this, guys. The more you understand this theory, the easier the study will become. Okay, so yell if you've got any issues, as always. Okay.